I'm a big fan of first-person shooters, and I'm always looking for something new to grind, and something caught my eye on Steam, and that is the demo for SULFUR. Now, SULFUR is a first-person shooter from the outfit called Perfect Random. They are a very, very small indie development team based out of Sweden, and this is their first debut game, and I have to say it caught my curiosity, and now it has my attention. There's a lot of complexity to the game, but that's not what got my foot in the door. At first I want to focus on how it looks and feels. This game has that old school cartoony look to it, and it's something you don't see terribly often. I have seen that style in a few different games, and it kind of leads you to believe that it's not such a hardcore experience, but there is a lot more of a hardcore experience than what meets the eye. Getting into how it feels, I was able to play this on a controller. There is full controller support on Steam, which means that I get to pull out this bad boy once more. I missed the Stadia controller, and it does just a great fine job in this game. Everything is kind of mapped okay, and there's not a whole lot of functionality that you need to have. It does work pretty well on the keyboard as well. I made sure to give it a try because sometimes it works really well one way or the other. In this case, I found both the control schemes to work just fine. Now, this game's overall loop is that of a roguelite. You are left with a bit of an intro to this story. Keep in mind, I'm only in the demo. But what I've seen from the story is really, really intense. You are a padre, a father of the church, and that leads you to, well, you have to kind of vanquish a lot of enemies and some rather dark places to save some good people, hopefully. This demo only had access to the little cave. Going through that cave was telling of what I think the rest of the game is going to be. It was a little depressing being in a cave and kind of muted. It's not very bright, it's not incredibly colorful, but I was able to see the kind of variation between some of the enemies. There's not a whole lot of different enemies presented in this level, in this demo, but I do expect there to be a whole lot more later on. But before we dwell on that too much, let's get into some of the sequences, some of the actual systems behind what you're doing. The look of the game might lead you to believe there's not much complexity here, but I wanted to make sure that we focus on some of the things that bring this game to the modern era. It has a lot of that old school feel. You're kind of maneuvering it like a corridor shooter, but behind the scenes there's a lot of stats going on. There is a weapon conditioning, and I'm not exactly excited about that. I don't know if anybody ever is, but it gives you the necessity to kind of rely on different weapons and not just use one workhorse the entire way through. You are killing enemies, getting some sort of experience to level your weapon up, and when that level reaches a certain point, you're able to attach different things to this gun, really up the stats, give it different effects, and that kind of thing. I believe there are some armor types, maybe some different clothing you can equip. I didn't really get to see that much in the demo here, but there are slots in the different inventory screen that kind of make me think there's a little bit more to the game that I haven't seen. Being a roguelite, there is a hub world. You return to that hub world whenever you can activate your medallion. It's a part of the story, but it allows you to return to that hub, kind of buy new supplies off of some of the vendors, level your weapons and the like, and set back out. There's a coin currency system, so when you're killing different enemies, you are collecting some coins to spend in those shops, and that's par for the course when it comes to a roguelite. This demo was rather limited. Going through that one cave system, I didn't quite get to the boss fight. I can't be the Doomslayer every day. I was taking this a little bit casually, but looking at what some of the pages are and speaking at some of the developers, seeing what their communications are, there's a whole lot more coming to this game shortly after release too. The full release is supposed to have a lot more levels than the one that I saw, of course. They're teasing that there are going to be a lot more variation between enemy types, different bosses, different weapons, and a lot of different things to kind of keep the game fresh and new. This is a demo, so you are able to check it out. We don't score demos around here, but I would like to get my hands on the full game because I absolutely recommend this one. If you're a fan of any shooters, new or old, maybe particularly some of the boomer shooters, I think you're going to like this one.